By way of introduction, I know that as perioperative, as theater users, let me use the word theater users, we make use of sutures for many reasons. Of course, that has to do with repair of surgical incisions and repair of surgical incisions, and we use it to anchor drains, anchor drains from NG2 to central venous catheter to abdominal drain, chest tube drains. Sometimes I've mentioned NG2, drains at any site in the body, and the most importantly, we use it to close up surgical incision. The use of sutures has been dated hundreds of years as far as medicine, as old as medicine, as far as medicine started in the 19th century. People are using catgut, to suture wound, and I could remember, when we started the training back then many years ago, the synthetic sutures was not very popular then. We have catgut, which is naturally occurring absorbable sutures. So that will lead me to the next presentation. So sutures are basically, we have different classification of sutures. We have the naturally occurring and we have the synthetic. General classification is actually, some are absorbable and some are non-absorbable. Sutures and the needles attached. Some are attached together. Some you can prepare separately. Some are prepared as mounted together. Some are prepared separately. So basically, in the classification of sutures, we have like I said, the general classification is absorbable, non-absorbable. We also have synthetic and naturally occurring. I just mentioned that initially we have what we call, of course, the use of suture started from catgut, which is from, then we used to have plain catgut. Then at some point it was discovered that the plain catgut, they easily get absorbed and dissolved into the tissue. So they don't last enough, to hold, to the wound, surgical wounds together. We've had a situation where, patient that is, patient is coming down with incisional hernia, wound gaping, wound dehiscent, and all of that. So, in order for, there was a development over the plain catgut then, and that was when the addition of chromium salt. The chromium salt was said to have strengthening the tensile strength, the capacity of the catgut, so makes it last longer than the usual plain catgut. I think plain catgut then was maybe about weeks, about 3 to 4 weeks duration. But then by the time the chromium catgut was introduced, they were getting as much as it takes about 2 to 3 months for chromium catgut to be totally dissolved, by the body enzymes and fluid. So all along it has been the use of naturally occurring absorbable sutures, which is catgut, sorry. And then later on, we have nylon sutures. So the nylon sutures are non-absorbable. They are naturally occurring but non-absorbable sutures. So, of course, they are useful at different situations and different conditions, which of course I will mention in the course of this presentation. So, as we speak now with the advanced technology in medical practice, which of course has also influenced the production and manufacturing of surgical sutures. So currently the practice is moving away from the naturally occurring sutures, and for many reasons, which has made it to have a superior advantage over the naturally occurring sutures. A lot of people, of course, I know some centers, maybe in the developed world, and of course in some city centers, medical centers, can afford to totally switch to the use of synthetic sutures. But I think of course, I won't be surprised if we still have some facilities in the rural or probably some remote area where they still use more of naturally occurring. And of course, the chief, like I said, I mentioned earlier, is the use of plain catgut and chromic catgut. And the chromic catgut is because of the addition of the chromium salt that differentiates that, and strengthening the naturally occurring catgut so that it can last longer. However, I think with the development of practice was discovered that it is not, the longer it stays is not more a advantage. It's not more an advantage for the use of that chromium catgut, which of course I will discuss in the course of this presentation. So let me quickly. So from this from the diagram you can see on your screen. So it's just for us to have an idea of what I'm talking about. The overview of the classification of sutures. Of course, we have like I said, the general classification of absorbable and non-absorbable. Then we have under the absorbable, we have the naturally occurring and the synthetic sutures. So and then the non-absorbable as well, we have the naturally occurring and the synthetic. So under the synthetic I'll just quickly move to the synthetic, which of course is basically what is in more or less in practice these days. I don't have everything on slide, but just please pay attention, and this is also recorded. There is a particular text that I'm using that I'll forward to the group after this presentation. We have, as you can see from this slide, under the synthetic absorbable, the common one is Vicry. We always say Vicry. Of course, the generic name is polyglactin 910. So the polyglactin 910, which of course has a superior advantage over every other suture that are being used, tends to be have a strong tensile strength, and however, the advantage that the synthetic absorbable suture has over the non-synthetic, the naturally occurring, the use of chromium catgut, it stays longer in the body, and most times, it has been found out that it has caused a reaction. A lot of patients come down with, hypertrophic scar. Some come down with fibrosis. A lot of patients come down with fibrosis, tissue fibrosis, and all of that. Some come down with adhesions. Because of you realize, I don't know, maybe it's from experience. I don't know from experience. Some of us, you realize that most patients, I think the experience that time, if I can still remember very well, we realized that most patients, after first or second surgical, maybe for example abdominal surgery, for example, by the time you have to go back to there, maybe another time, you'll have seen additions everywhere. So because of this the use of chromic catgut, it was discovered that most patients come down with additions, and of course, the complication, is a risk in itself, because, for example, a patient that is coming for maybe cesarean section the first time, the second time, and by the time you're going back there the third time, the uterus, you cannot differentiate between the anterior, the wall of the uterus and the wall of the bladder. They share the same boundary, so you cannot differentiate between the wall of the bladder, the wall of the rectum. A patient is coming down with rectovaginal, uterovaginal fistula. So, these are some of the issues that, has necessitated the need to adopt the synthetic sutures, which has a better advantage that in 2-3 weeks, they are strong at the initial, before they mix with body fluid and, body enzymes. They are very strong, strong enough to hold the tissue together, long enough, although, of course, commercial value is very expensive, but they are longer than the chromium catechol, and they are stronger than the chromium catechol. However, they dissolve faster than chromium catechol. So that is a superior advantage of absorbing suture over, the naturally occurring suture. Well, this meeting, like we said, I'm sure there's nothing I want to say here that is new to us totally. But of course, like we said, it's a review of, sutures and all of that. So I hope we can make it as interactive as possible, so as many people who maybe have maybe personal experience with the use of some of these sutures. I think the purpose of this is more or less like a review of what we already know, and let's see how far this has helped in our practice. Of course, one of the things we do as nurses, and of course even the theater users, is observation. Of course, we can do a lot of studies by, of course, currently we are big on evidence-based practice. We are big on research-based practice. We're not just doing it based on routines and based on tradition. So the essence of, by my understanding, the essence of review is that how has this really been helpful. So back to my presentation. So the use of synthetic suture has been proven. For example, like I said, the first that was actually discovered was polyglactin 910, who is said to be monofilament. Is monofilament in nature. Of course, we have some of the suture that are monofilament, and some are braided, in nature. So polyglactin 910 is monofilament in nature. And of course, some can be braided, some can be monofilament. So it has that dual property of either monofilament or braided. However, it has a strength of about 75%, even in 2 weeks. It can retain the tissue apposition for, at 75% strength, even in 2 weeks of suture. So by which, of course, we expect that wound healing will have taken place without leaving any tissue fibrosis behind. And by 3rd week, it can still retain its 50%. So that is what polyglactin 910 has provided. And of course, that's the superior over every other suture that fall into the category of synthetic absorbable sutures. Of course, other ones that we have under that is we have the monocrete, which is monofilament and is absorbable. We have the PDS, polydazinone suture, which is also monofilament, but is that is the closest. The PDS, apart from polyglactin 910, the closest in strength is PDS. That's polydazinone. And then, of course, we have another one that has been, recently, being of help, and that is polyglactin modified. This one is Vicry Rapid. Yes, Vicry Rapid. I don't know if any of us have come across Rapid. It's whitish in color. I don't know. The usual polyglactin 910 is actually about, I think, is a purple in color. But this Rapid is white, whitish, like off-white color, is longer and it stays longer. So, the total absorption. So, hello, I don't know if anybody can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, okay. So, like I said, there's nothing new about what I'm saying. I'm sure for any surgically inclined person who understand all of this thing I'm talking about. Yeah, for the total wound healing to take place, actually, it takes about 90 days, like I've mentioned earlier. But the holding of tissue together, we expect that the first 2 weeks of suture, that the tissue's integrity is maintained with the kind of suture that we choose, so that the wound can heal, at the record time without coming down with wound breakdown, or, at the end of the day, when the wound has to heal by secondary intention, then it come down with, tissue reactions, fibrosis, keloid, and all of that. So, so like I said, polyglactin 110 has shown, in fact, from the documentation with me, polyglactin 110 can take up to 210 days in the body. Others, the maximum other can take is 120 days. But the polyglactin 110 can take, as much as, 210 days in the body. Polydiazinone, that's PDS, can take as much as 210 days in the body. However, so let me just quickly go to the next slide. So basically, that's the superior advantage of synthetic suture over the non-naturally occurring sutures. Okay, so straight to the needles. Yeah, so the choice of needle, it depends on the kind of tissue. Of course, the needle is meant to penetrate, the tissue, of choice, that is to be sutured. And of course, the strength of the needle and the length of the needle determines. Of course, we have different type of needle. We have the taper, we have the cutting, we have the we have the of course, you can see the part of the needle that's demonstrated here. We have the needle point, we have the needle radius, of course, and we have the diameter. We have the needle point, the diameter of the needle, the radius. Some are 3/4, some are some are 1/2. This particular one is half. Some are 3/8, some are 1/4. Some are 5/8. Depending on the procedure you are doing, of course, and the tissue you are considering. Of course, you cannot compare when you are doing a thin permeable or semi-permeable membrane. For example, in doing high surgery, or you are doing you are doing high surgery, you are doing vascular surgery. You need different. It's not going to be the same needle points, and it's not going to be the same diameter before for you to be able to. So you don't need diameter that's is too thick, that will leave a space, that will leave a space in the tissue when you are doing the suturing. So basically, what you have here is the needle point, the diameter, the needle body, and the needle. So these are the things, these are the peculiarities to the needle. And of course, we have the cutting. So for the point, we have the cutting needle. We have the reverse cutting. We have the we have the blunt. We have, so these are, I will throw the materials to us on the platform, but just permit me the way I can describe it for us for the sake of this meeting. And so basically that's what you see needle. So different needle depending, for example, if you are suturing muscles, of course, even muscles are not even sutures. Most times muscles are just allowed to come back together because muscles are highly vascularized, so you don't pick muscles. So most times you might not even use you might just use a blunt needle to just run the suture around the muscles. But of course, if you are going for maybe something like a fascia, you are going for a thick aponeurotic fascial layers and all of that. We are going for scalp tissues. You know, these are very strong fibrotic body tissues that require very strong cutting needle, or sometimes a taper needle, so that you can penetrate and achieve wound closure as much as you can. So at this point in time, I don't know. I wish we can make it a conversational thing. You know, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how many minutes I still have more, and if we can make it as interactive as we can, maybe let's share experiences as to what our experiences have been, with the use of surgical sutures and needle. Naturally occurring versus synthetic sutures, and then the use of different needles, for different purposes. Of course, in terms of the size of the thread, in terms of the size of the thread, of course, we know that we have from 10.0 to, the one in the commercially available ones, I know very well. We have 80, we have 60, we have 50, we have 40, we have 20, we have 0, and we have 1, 2. At least this one I know that are commercially available sutures that we use. And for surgeries like eye procedure, vascular procedure, we do with 80, 60, for vascular procedure 60, for high procedure we use as low as, the lowest is 10-0, and of course the highest is 10, which of course I don't think is commercially available. What we have seen commercially is 2. I don't know, maybe in Highland or any other part of the country that we've seen anything beyond the ones that I've mentioned. So depending on the tissue that we're dealing with, that will determine, of course, the kind of suture that we use. Then let me quickly mention under the synthetic monofilament sutures too. I mentioned under the naturally one, I mentioned Prolene. We have the silk, which is braided. We have the nylon, silk linen, and cotton. Nylon, which is monofilament. Then we have synthetic. We have polypropylene. Eticon company actually, made. I started that, big commercial quantity, and so now for most of the neurosurgeries, high surgery, vascular surgery, polypropylene, because of their tensile strength and durability in the tissue. So these are some of the things that, I feel like I should share with us based on this topic. I wish we can have contribution from other members of this platform. Yeah, thank you. I'm waiting for our comment. I don't know if there's any. Okay, the images of the sutures. Someone said I should show the images of the suture. Okay, so there's actually an image that I was supposed to have put up, which I thought I have it here. Let me stop sharing while I look for it and I put it up. So I'm waiting for comments. Like I said, let's make it as interactive as possible. I know we are we are all professional. So, so as much as we can do it, is I wanted to assist me, giving me your ideas as to what has been your experience in the use of Suture and what are the challenges you think, have to deal with in the use of Sutures. Please, I'm expecting to hear from you, please. Any comments?
Thank you so much, Mr. Adedeji, for that wonderful presentation. It was really insightful. At least we got to see the pictorial depiction of what Sutures is about, the sizes and the classification as well. Thank you so much for that insightful session. As you've said, I believe we can move to WhatsApp for the questions and answers, and everyone would be able to contribute on the group as well. So thank you so much for that presentation. Thank you to all our leaders in Nigeria chapter, and thank you to everyone who connected in one way or the other, despite the time schedule. Thank you for joining us. And I want to say we can move to the group and then we can continue from the group. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you so much for the presentation, sir.
Yeah.